One more boom exists to help operators, builders, and future founders understand, position for, and build into the next boom.
Here's a question I think every organization should be able to answer. The procedure says the job should go one way. The people doing the work run into something different. What happens next? In a lot of organizations, one of two things happens. Somebody finds a workaround and moves on, or they file a report that disappears into a system somewhere. Either way, the organization can miss the lesson. That gap between what was expected and what actually showed up is what we're talking about today. It's an edge case. And just so we're clear, I don't mean edge computing. I mean the operational edge, the employees and contractors closest to the work, the handoffs, and the changing conditions that don't always fit neatly inside the plan. They're often the first people to see an assumption starting to break. The challenge is learning from that without treating every observation as fact, every workaround as a new rule, or every field note as something we should feed into AI. The Canada Energy Regulator has a useful way of describing this. There's work as imagined and there's work as done. Work as imagined is the procedure, the schedule, the controlled document, or the plan. Work as done is what people actually encounter once the job meets real conditions. That doesn't make the plan useless, and it doesn't make the person in the field automatically right. It simply means those are two different sources of information, and the difference between them may matter. If the organization ignores every difference, it usually learns late. The schedule has already moved. Rework has already appeared. The same issue has shown up 3 times in 3 different places, but nobody connected it. On the other hand, if it accepts every report without checking it, now it's making decisions from anecdotes. Neither one is good enough. What we need is a simple path from I saw something different to the right person reviewed it, made a decision, and got the answer back to the people who need it. Let's use a completely made up capital project example. A work package is marked ready. When it gets to the work front, a field lead notices that the package index points to one drawing revision, while a checklist inside the package points to another. The field lead follows the organization's existing controls and pauses for clarification. Now, this is where the wrong question gets asked. People jump to, can AI tell us which drawing is right? No, that's not the job we should give it. The useful signal is much simpler. Two controlled records disagree at the exact moment somebody needs to rely on them. So capture the gap. We expected one authoritative revision across the released package. We observed 2 different references. We can point to the document identifiers, timestamps, and system locations. We know it could affect time, rework, quality, and potentially safe execution if somebody guesses. But we still don't know why it happened, and we haven't decided which reference governs. That decision belongs to the organization's document control and engineering authorities. The person in the field found the signal. They didn't inherit the authority to resolve it, and neither did the model. One reason these systems get messy is that everything lands in the same bucket: feedback, lessons learned, observations, AI insights. Then 6 months later, nobody can tell what was actually seen, what somebody guessed, what was checked, or what was approved. I would keep 4 labels in front of every edge case. Observed. What did somebody actually encounter, and what evidence can they point to? Interpreted. What might it mean? This is where people or AI can suggest consequences, patterns, or related records. But those ideas stay labeled as hypotheses. Verified. An accountable person has checked the evidence, the context, and the requirements that apply. Approved. The person with the right decision authority has accepted an action or a controlled change and communicated it to the people affected. Those labels keep us honest. Observed isn't verified. Verified doesn't automatically mean a change is approved. And a polished AI summary is still just a summary. The guide for this episode is an edge case capture card. The first version should be small enough that somebody will actually use it while the details are still fresh. If it takes 20 minutes and asks for a root cause analysis, it's already too heavy. Start with this. What did you expect? What did you observe? Where and when did it happen? What evidence can the authorized reviewer inspect? What action did you already take under the rules that apply to the work, and who should review it? That's enough to begin. The reviewer can ask for more if they need it. The card isn't a replacement for emergency reporting, stop work authority, incident systems, quality processes, security, privacy, engineering, contracts, or document control. Those rules still come first. It's just a clean front door for a signal that might otherwise be lost between them. Here's the part organizations often underestimate. People stop reporting when nothing comes back. The form takes too long. Nobody acknowledges it. They never hear what was decided, or they decide it's safer to fix the immediate problem quietly and keep moving. High reliability guidance has been saying this for years, and the Canada Energy Regulator makes feedback to the reporter one of the signs of a stronger learning culture. That makes sense. If somebody takes the time to show you a gap, tell them what happened to it. Was it verified? Where did it go? Did something change? If nothing changed, why not? Closing that conversation matters as much as collecting the report. And don't make the number of reports a scoreboard. More reports might mean more problems, but they might also mean people finally trust the system enough to show you what was already there. Look at how quickly reports are acknowledged, whether there's enough evidence to review them, whether decisions get back to the people affected, and whether the same condition keeps coming back. That tells you much more than a raw count. So where does AI fit? Somewhere useful, but smaller than the hype. I would let it turn a rough field note into a consistent draft. I would let it compare information the user is allowed to access, flag a possible mismatch, find related records, summarize the competing evidence, and route the item to a named role. I would not let it decide that the report is true. I wouldn't let it choose the governing drawing, approve a workaround, change a procedure, alter access, or decide who is to blame. NIST's AI risk management framework calls for clear human roles, documented limits, ongoing monitoring, and feedback that is reviewed before it changes the system. That's the key. Capture is not approval. The model can help move information. The accountable person still owns the decision. Before an organization automates another project workflow, I think it should ask a few basic questions. Can somebody closest to the work point out a mismatch without crossing a data boundary? Can the organization acknowledge it quickly? Can it get the record to someone who actually owns the decision? Can everyone see the difference between evidence and interpretation? Can the approved answer get back to the people who need it? And does anyone check what happens the next time? If that path doesn't exist, adding another model won't create organizational learning. It may just help the blind spot move faster. This week, don't try to map every exception in the organization. Pick one. Write down what you expected, what you observed, what evidence exists, why the difference might matter, and who has authority to review it. Then follow the rules that already govern that work. The point isn't to prove the field right or the procedure wrong. The point is to make the gap visible enough that the organization can make a responsible decision and learn from what happens next. You can download the Edge Case Capture card and join the One More Boom Substack as we build the governed AI pilot plan one practical piece at a time. The Edge often knows first. The organization still has to listen, decide, and learn.